You know what they say, the bigger, the better. And today, we're taking a look at the biggest and best who have ever played. The NFL is filled with freakish athletes, guys with 45-inch verticals and sub 4.4 40-yard dashes, athleticism that us mere mortals could never dream of having. But for my money, the craziest feat of athletics that we see in the NFL on Sundays is not the speedy wide receivers or even the dual-threat quarterbacks, but rather some of the overwhelmingly athletic big men that we see dominating in the trenches. So without further ado, let's take a look back at 10 of the most freakishly athletic big men in NFL history. Let's start off here with Larry Allen, who, for this man's money, may be the single most athletic big man to ever step foot on the NFL field. The 11-time Pro Bowler and 7-time All-Pro offensive guard played the bulk of his Hall of Fame career for the Dallas Cowboys before playing his final 2 seasons in San Francisco. And when I say he was an athletic freak, oh buddy, is that an understatement? Allen stood around 6 foot 3 inches and weighed in over 330 pounds. But he moved across the field with the grace of an Olympic figure skater. And while it was rarely required of him, the big man could move. Check out this insane play in which he chased down what looked like a surefire pick six. It looks cartoonish to see someone that big running that fast. His workout feats were something to behold as well. He was famous for recording a max bench press of over 700 pounds and 43 repetitions for 225 pounds, as well as a 30-inch vertical leap and a 4.85 40-yard dash, which for a 340-pounder is absolutely insane. And to his credit, he got damn near everything out of his athleticism. The man brutalized opposing defensive linemen, was part of one of the greatest NFL dynasties of all time, and hey, will go down as one of the best ever to do it. Not bad for a Division II guy who just so happened to be the 10th lineman taken in the 1994 NFL Draft. Staying on the offensive line, how about a couple other Hall of Famers whose freakish athleticism boggled the minds of NFL fans and players alike? Willie Roaf and Jonathan Ogden. Roaf, like Larry Allen, was an 11-time Pro Bowler and has the unique distinction of being named to 2 different NFL All-Decade teams, the 1990s and the 2000s. He also had a blazing fast 40 time for a man that stood 6'6" and over 320 pounds, reportedly running in at around 4.8 seconds while he was a junior in college. And perhaps one of the most impressive elements of Roaf's athleticism was his insane longevity. Despite carrying such a massive frame, not only did the guy play all 16 games damn near every year of his 13-year career, he was still very much at the peak of his powers when he retired. After his final season in 2005, he was coming off 4 consecutive Pro Bowls, and likely would have gotten his 3rd consecutive All-Pro had 05 not been one of the 3 seasons that he missed time due to injury. In fact, Roaf was still so dominant when he retired that then Kansas City Chiefs general manager Carl Peterson practically begged him not to retire the following offseason. But Roaf was steadfast that he was ready to take on the coaching world instead. With Ogden, it was much of the same. He stood at 6 foot 8 inches without shoes on and weighed in at over 320 pounds. But that didn't stop him from recording a 31-inch vertical jump and a 9 foot 5-inch broad jump at the NFL Combine ahead of the '96 draft. Oh, and before he was taken 4th overall in the subsequent draft, he accomplished quite a bit in the collegiate ranks, helping UCLA to a Pac-10 and Rose Bowl championship, not to mention winning a national championship in the shot put event at the Indoor Track and Field Championships. Whew, that's a lot of championships, but talk about an absolute beast. His former offensive line coach, Kirk Ferentz, who is now the head coach at the University of Iowa, summed Ogden up well, saying, "When I talk at clinics, I say that I have not been around too many freaks of nature, but he was as close to that as anyone I've ever been around." He went on to compare Ogden's grace to watching Roberto Clemente play outfield for the Pittsburgh Pirates. That's just how special Ogden was. Jonathan played 12 seasons, earning trips to the Pro Bowl in every single one of them except for his rookie season, meaning that he, like Roaf, retired while he was still extremely capable of playing at the NFL level. Yet another testament to his otherworldly athleticism in a league filled with truly special athletes. Alright, and the last offensive lineman we have on this list did not accomplish nearly as much as the other three we just mentioned. But Aaron Gibson deserves some shine for his insane athletic prowess, even if his NFL career never really panned out the way most people thought it would. Ahead of the 1999 NFL Draft, which he was taken in the first round of, Minnesota Vikings scouting director Jerry Reichow glowed in his praise of Gibson, saying, "He's got the best hand punch I've ever seen, quick feet for pass blocking, and he's so huge you can't compare him to anybody before him. Physically, he's a man among boys, so the first team looking for an offensive lineman should draft him." And considering he ran his 40-yard dash at the combine in 5.35 seconds, despite weighing nearly 400 pounds, I'd say Reichow was onto something when he touted Gibson's athletic ability. Now, unfortunately, Gibson's NFL career was derailed by chronic shoulder injuries and subsequent issues with pain management and substance abuse. He does, however, own the unique distinction of being the only player to ever be listed at 400 pounds on an NFL roster, which is a feat in and of itself. Okay, moving to the defensive side of the ball, how about some of the stars we've seen in recent years create nightmare situations for opposing offensive coordinators and quarterbacks alike? Say, for example, Vince Wilfork, the surefire future Hall of Famer who played for the New England Patriots from 2004 all the way up until 2014, before finishing his career with the Texans in Houston. Wilfork spent his career clogging up running lanes on the interior of some ferocious defensive lines and wowing teammates with his athletic ability. I mean, put his low 5-second 40-yard dash time aside, he also possessed elite hand-eye coordination, which everyone saw on display during the 2015 edition of Hard Knocks, when he was balling out on the hardwood. I know he wasn't exactly going up against NBA All-Stars, but even in that short clip, you can see his ability shine through in a big way. Oh, and I guess he wasn't too shabby on the gridiron either. Wilfork won 2 Super Bowls, was selected to 4 All-Pro teams and 5 Pro Bowls, and will likely find his way into Canton someday very soon. In many ways, Wilfork was a precursor to the sort of golden age of athletic freak defensive linemen in the NFL. And like Vince, a couple of them just so happen to be enormous human beings. Take Ndamukong Suh, former 2nd overall pick, for example. Suh was 6'4" and 275 pounds in high school. And for a man of that weight, he was shredded to the gills. During his time in college at the University of Nebraska, he bulked up even more, adding another 30 pounds or so of pure muscle. Suh put all of this freakish athleticism on display at the combine, where the 300-pounder not only showed his strength, benching 32 reps of 225, but also his speed with a sub-5-second 40-yard dash. Perhaps even more impressive, though, was his vertical jump, which came in at 35.5 inches. I do not know how in the world he got all 300 plus pounds nearly 3 feet up in the air, but damn does it speak to his athleticism. I guess it really shouldn't come as a surprise that he's been pummeling quarterbacks for over a decade now. His teammate with the Bucs, Vita Vea, is another freak of nature. When he was at the University of Washington, the 350-pounder amazed coaches with his speed. Washington defensive coordinator Jimmy Lake once told the following story of Vea. In 2016, we were playing USC in Husky Stadium, and he chased after a screen. We have those catapult trackers, and he ran 20 miles an hour on our charts, which is very impressive for a guy who's 340 pounds, obviously. That was one of many episodes where I said, hey, this guy's a freak athlete. In fact, he was also a stud running back in high school before he started bulking up fully for the transition to the defensive line. And it wasn't just him running over undersized high school kids. He had legitimate breakaway speed, which is pretty evident when you watch him play on Sundays. I mean, there are things that Vea does on the football field, quick little adjustments and sidesteps that don't even look physically possible for a person of his size to perform. As a matter of fact, Tampa Bay even occasionally uses him on offense to this day. You can tell by the way he catches the ball, soft hands and all, that his hand-eye coordination is elite as well. For my money, Vea might not only be the most athletic big man in the league today, but he also deserves consideration for being one of the best pure athletes, period. He's eerily reminiscent of another former first-round pick and Super Bowl champion that played defensive lineman, William the Refrigerator Perry. Perry's big man exploits are the stuff of legends. Not only did he set the record at the time for the heaviest player to score a touchdown at 335 pounds, he also had the record for a largest Super Bowl ring at size 25. People say that at one point, he was able to slam down 360-degree dunks too. Over the years, more and more stories have come to light about his shocking athleticism. In high school, he was the 6th fastest guy on the entire team and ran a 100-meter dash in under 12 seconds for the school's track team, which is particularly absurd for a guy that was also competing and dominating in shot put. He put that speed and strength on display during Super Bowl 20 with his bruising and explosive touchdown run. Speaking of guys who showed their speed and strength in the run game, we have one lone running back entry on this list. Fullback Craig Hayward, the former Pro Bowler for the Atlanta Falcons who had an 11-year career in the NFL. Hayward stood at 5'11" and at one point reportedly weighed 330 pounds. He was known for being a punishing runner who could block with the best of them. And hey, he was actually a pretty good receiver too. I mean, not only did he rack up yards at the college level, including a 1,791-yard season in 1987, he also had a 1,000-yard rushing season in the NFL for the Falcons, despite only carrying the ball 236 times, which is positively insane for a fullback and speaks volumes about his ability as an athlete, particularly for his size. Okay, and last, but certainly not least, I think it's only fitting that we pay homage to the one and only quarterback on this list. The man formerly known as BBQ, aka the Big Beautiful Quarterback, the Pillsbury Throwboy, the Round Mound of Touchdown, and most famously, the Hefty Lefty, Jared Lorenzen. Now, before his tragic passing back in 2019, Lorenzen was one of the most beloved figures in all of football. He first entered the national consciousness at the University of Kentucky, where he was named the team's starting quarterback as a redshirt freshman way back in the year 2000. During his time in Lexington, the Kentucky native set all sorts of school records in total offense, passing yards, passing touchdowns, including a number of marks that had been previously held by Tim Couch, the only quarterback ever to be taken #1 overall in the NFL draft out of Kentucky. Which, for anyone in Kentucky who followed his high school career, probably wasn't much of a surprise, as he was one of the most dominant players in Kentucky football history, leading his team to a 15-0 record, putting up cartoonish numbers along the way. As a senior in 1998, he completed 62% of his passes for 3,393 yards, 45 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. He also rushed for a ridiculous 904 yards at 8.4 yards per carry and 15 touchdowns. And the icing on the cake for his athletic prowess, he was a 3-year letterman in baseball and basketball as well. Oh, and did I mention he did all of this while maintaining the physique of a defensive lineman, standing at 6'4" and anywhere from 260 to up over 280 pounds when he was in the NFL. While he never became more than a backup in the NFL, the fact that he made it there at all as a quarterback with that kind of figure is an anomaly in and of itself. It's pretty rare that you see a quarterback on the depth chart weighing in at nearly 300 pounds. And hey, for that feat alone, he is a lock on this list. But hey, who do you think is the most freakishly athletic big man in NFL history? Did we miss anybody? Join us in the comment section below. And if you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea. We put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.